All right. Oh, they're having mass here behind me. I didn't realize it. It's one of the cool things about the Philippines. They're just not afraid to. Interesting Filipino factoid. I found this out today. That in fact it is overall the population's roughly 110 million folks, and of them overall 80% are Roman Catholic. So there you go. So very Catholic place. So even in we have the whole separation thing of church and state. They don't really seem, if they have it, they don't honor it, because like this is totally a public area, and they use the facilities here for mass. And you'll see like the shrine to Mama Mary at the international airport. So I dig it. I think it's cool. More history, more religion, more thinking, the better, as far as I'm concerned, because you can't talk about history unless you're going to talk about religion. And as Heidegger said, every man has a religion, so it's just a matter of knowing what that is. In any event, my final rambling or musing for tonight as I make my way back upstairs to crash for the evening is really just one of a gratitude. Again, that seems to be this theme I'm thinking about tonight. And it reminded me, kind of my association to it is when I was living in Spokane, so this would be just like 3 years ago, something like that, 4 years ago, 5, I don't know, who knows. But when I was in Spokane, I just had this idea when I was in the shower, because that's usually where I have great ideas, is when I'm in the bathroom for some reason. I don't know, the shower is kind of like my personal sauna, and you're kind of closed off from the world. You think it's kind of cool. That's the way it operates for me anyway. And I had a can of diet soda, and I finished it, and I turned it upside down and left it in the shower as a reminder. Like, I had this idea, you know, I want to try and live my life every day from the perspective that I'll have from my deathbed in the future. And I don't mean that in a French existentialist or worse, postmodern, lack of gratitude, negative, depressive, oh, we're all gonna die, and all of that postmodern French bullshit. Yuck. I don't mean it that way. I mean to keep it in perspective in more of an existential, a mature, not French, mature existential kind of way. So that's helpful to me in formulating kind of how I do things. So what's interesting is that from that perspective, I think some of what I do seems kind of crazy in terms of decision-making points, and do I go this way and that way? Because I'm not really following the contemporary contextual logic of how something should, or frame is a better word. I'm not following that frame. Instead, what I'm doing is really thinking about my current context from the perspective of deathbed in the future. Would I have wanted to do that, or would I have regretted doing it or not doing it, whatever that may be? And that's really helped shape my life, really. I mean, I wasn't always living in Spokane and had it that clear, but I've always kind of lived by that ethos, knowing more or less unconsciously. And it's not until recently it's been more articulated or explicit. But that's really how I gauge things, and even seemingly small decisions, I kind of gauge from that. I remember the pop can upside down, and so now every time I see it or go into the bathroom, I think, oh yeah. And that's really helped gauge because that's really the perspective that matters, I think, is from the point of finitude, which is also, of course, linked with our inextricable link, actually, to our connection with God, which is most important, of course. But that's how I think about things. So that's, I mean, it actually explains a lot about me. It's kind of, the crazy parts aren't, or hopefully aren't that crazy from the perspective of, you know, is this something that I wish I would have done in the end, or I should have done or should not have done? And using that rule of thumb is actually worked out overall pretty well for me, because even a lot of the maybe some people would deem it negative things or whatever, because there's always something like James Hillman said, we're all scandals, you know, there's no escaping it. But even with that, well, not in spite of those things, but actually because of those seemingly negative things, I mean, this whole thing wouldn't have played out the way that it has, which isn't bad. I'm in Southeast Asia with my newborn daughter, who's amazing, awesome fiance, well, awesome location too. I love it here. Oh God, it's hot, but it's great. Love the heat. Great people, great job prospects in the States. Isn't that nice? Great opportunities here that I can't even talk about yet. I mean, there's just so much. I write books. I've got another one that's just sitting, waiting to come out. God's just been so good to me. And the direction in it has not been like a to B kind of trajectory. It's been really crazy and windy, but if it wasn't for all of that, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, and I'm actually really happy with where I'm at today and who I'm with. So it's worth it to live things from a broader frame and not be so limited.